Hello and welcome to Why It's Expensive, the show where I come right here and pick a bunch of lenses I wish I owned but can't afford to and figure out why they cost so bloody much. Today we're having a look at cinema lenses. I have two of these babies here today. This is the Canon Cine 24mm Prime and this here is the Zeiss CP2 35mm. So this Canon here costs roughly $4,200 and the CP2 here costs just under $4,000, so very expensive lenses. But these things can actually get quite a bit more expensive, especially when you start looking towards the kind of glass they use in Hollywood. And as far as I'm informed, the cheapest cinema lenses that I know of, the Cine series, still cost just under $2,000 each. So why on earth are cinema lenses so expensive and how do they compare to stills lenses? Now the reason these lenses cost so much boils down to three major categories of reasons. And number one is these lenses are designed and optimized for the motion picture workflow. Number two, they are built for total reliability. And number three, these are not made for the mass market, which means low volumes and high prices. So how exactly are these optimized for filmmaking? Now one of the more noticeable ones is instead of rubber rings, they have metal geared focus and iris rings, and if this was a zoom lens, there would be one for zoom as well. So that is to make sure that they work with follow focus systems. The optical design of these lenses are also engineered to minimize focus breathing, which is practically a non-issue for stills, but can be very distracting if it's video. For those who are not familiar with the term, focus breathing is when your frame shifts almost like a zoom when you adjust your focus. Now on this Canon 24mm Cine Prime, when you rack it from close focus to infinity, you can definitely still notice some amount of focus breathing, but when you compare it to its still counterpart, the 24mm L, there's definitely less of that in the Cine version. For cinema zooms, it is also absolutely essential that they are parfocal, meaning that the focus doesn't shift when you zoom the lens in and out, which happens all too often with these things. The cinema lenses are also marked out in T-stops, which is more consistent in terms of exposure, and the iris ring turns smoothly for those smooth exposure adjustments. If you're curious about T-stops, I made a separate video explaining that in detail and how they're different from f-stops over here in a separate video if you're interested. So about reliability, absolutely nobody paying for a lens this expensive is going to expect it to be a short-term investment. So these things are made to last. They need to survive harsh conditions on film sets and they're expected to continue working for years to come. Everything on the exterior of the lens, excluding the glass of course, is made from really solid metal, including the geared rings. Quality needs to be top-notch. Every single ring that rotates needs to be butter smooth, and every marking, such as the focus and iris markings, need to be precisely accurate because they will be relied on a lot. So these lenses are targeted at the professional market, so we're talking about production houses and rental houses, which means the companies making these won't be selling a huge number of these lenses, which in itself is a factor for their high price. So in terms of optical quality, how do they compare against still lenses? Well, that really depends on the lens. Comparing this 24mm Cine Prime to the 24mm L lens, I actually found the still version to be sharper. There's definitely other cinema lenses out there that are sharper than this lens, but my point is, I don't think image quality is the main reason these things are expensive. It's also quite rare to come by cinema lenses in general, let alone get hands-on with one, which is the reason why I was actually really shocked to find out that Lens Library actually has two Cine Primes in their collection of gear. But if you do swing by this amazing place, they do welcome everyone to have a go at their cinema lenses for yourself alongside the rest of their collection. Lens Library is based in Malaysia, so if you do plan on visiting, I'll leave some info down below on how to get here. So that is it for today, everybody. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.